past I've been the first in line to jump on how shoddy some of the production values in like a live TV/theatrics aspect in the WWE has been presented, but I will give credit where credit's due, as I always do. The opening segment with a little history package between Triple H and Seth Rollins was fantastic. The pre-film stuff in WWE is always good. It set the scene for Raw and it grabbed my attention, pushed me into my chair and made me want to keep watching. So a big thumbs up for that super sexy smiling guy in the back. We start with Steph and Mick, who introduce Samoa Joe and offer him a contract to sign, now that he's an official member of the Raw roster. Joe puts the whole locker room on notice and says he's now the destroyer of Raw, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. But it seems Roman Reigns gets heritage envy and comes out and gets in Joe's face. He challenges Joe to a match later on tonight, and Joe accepts. Goldberg's going to be kicking about later on tonight to respond to Brock Lesnar's challenge for a match at WrestleMania, and possibly give himself concussion beforehand. We get to see that Bayley hangs around with Cesaro socially nowadays, and then we're also reminded of Nia Jax giving Sasha Banks a fisting at Royal Rumble. This is all relevant because Bayley's got a one-on-one match with Nia, and it's next. I don't know whether it's JoJo being catty or somebody in management's giving her the instruction, but Nia Jax was billed at £272 when she came down to the ramp, which I can't remember the last time that was done with a lass. So there's that. Nia just chucked Bayley around for quite a while, until Bayley was about to make some form of a comeback, and then Charlotte distracted her, and then splat, she turned round and just got destroyed. 3 matches to look forward to tonight. We've got a US Championship match between Chris Jericho and Sami Zayn. Then we've got Cesaro versus Gallows and Anderson in a Tag Team Championship match. And in the main event tonight is Samoa Joe's debut on Monday Night Raw against Roman Reigns. We get a recap of Roman Reigns saving Kevin Owens from losing his championship match last week and still getting booed to fuck. And then... dun 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 dun. That is the sound of Braun Strowman jumping the shark, or at least creative jumping the shark with him, because he's gone back to 4-on-1 matches now. It completely beats the piss out of them, one of them runs away, some really nasty stiff shots. Yeah, it's fun for 3 minutes, but no substance really whatsoever, and they're back at square one with him. Well, square two maybe. And even after the match, Strowman goes back to that old classic song that he used to sing about not having any competition, pissing and moaning at Foley. So he storms off looking for Mick. Yeah, and he forgot to put his straps down and get nips out for Vince. Bad show. And just to add to the aforementioned subject, we're back to the same song and dance between Foley and Strowman. Strowman demands more competition, Foley promises to deliver. This time, Foley decides to book a match at Fastlane between Strowman and Roman Reigns. Strowman seems happy with it and buggers off. Samoa Joe isn't the only individual to have his in-ring debut on Raw tonight. Akira Tozawa, representing the Cruiserweights/205 Live, will be in action next. And that's followed by a lovely little video that unsuccessfully tries to convince me that WWE cares about Black History Month. Akira Tozawa defeats Drew Gulak with his German suplex, which, to be honest, does look really nice. It was a nice quick match and it was a nice little taste of a 205 Live and Akira Tozawa's work. And after the match, Brian Kendrick of all people comes out for a handshake, and Tozawa reluctantly accepts it. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho come out to the ring now, much to the crowd's delight. Owens mentions how great a champion he is for defeating Braun Strowman last week, retaining his Universal Championship. Chris Jericho says how great he is because he's the 61-minute man. And then some sports references happen, which everyone but me gets, so that's fine. Everyone else has enjoyed it, but yep, no idea, thanks. And then they paint a lovely picture of them two fighting each other at WrestleMania, but Kevin Owens says he's not sure if he can actually fight his best friend. But then they get interrupted. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Fucking hell, I'm glad he was already ready to come out at the Royal Rumble and didn't have to wait 7 minutes for this shit. It's almost as bad as The Undertaker's now. Goldberg tells Jericho and Owens to either get out of the way or try and have a go if they think they're hard enough, which they step aside, and then Goldberg turns this into his acceptance promo for his match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. After Goldberg gives his speech, Kevin Owens gives him the good old slow, sarcastic applause, and says that Brock and Goldberg would be a great undercard for Jericho vs Owens at WrestleMania. We get a little back and forth between Jericho and Goldberg. Jericho threatens to put Goldberg on the list, but Goldberg snatches it off him and puts himself on the list, you know, because that's how mental he is. Goldberg challenges Kevin Owens for a match at Fastlane for the championship, which Chris Jericho accepts on Owens' behalf. Owens isn't very happy with this, and he and Jericho leave, and Goldberg remembers to get nips out for Vince. The lovers' tiff between Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho moves into the back. Owens really isn't happy with Jericho for accepting Goldberg's challenge for his championship on his behalf. Jericho tries to reinforce that he's always had Owens' back and it's always worked out, but Owens isn't happy still and just leaves. Well, I've got to thank WWE for the nice early birthday present. Enzo Amore and Big Kaz were already out ringside as we came back from the adverts, so I didn't have to listen to their fucking script, I didn't have to listen to their awful theme music, I didn't have to watch them dancing around or going duh. So, cheers. We've got a rematch now between the Club and Cesaro for the Tag Team Championship. where all four of them just knock crap out of each other as usual. Enzo Amore's face just caused Gallows to boot him on the outside, which then obviously Big Kaz retaliated and got Cesaro disqualified. After the ambush from Samoa Joe last week, Seth Rollins is actually injured, and we're going to get an update on him shortly. Next, we've got another promo for Black History Month, and I can just picture Vince now getting someone to gather all the darkies together to read Black History facts whilst looking really bored and really awkward. We get another video package between Triple H and Seth Rollins and their history, with a special guest appearance from Samoa Joe last week, and then we're given an update on Seth Rollins' injury with his tweet that he sent out, so bad times for Rollins, hope he gets better soon. Next up, we've got the New Day taking the piss out the Shining Stars gimmick, and then stealing CM Punk's ice cream gimmick, trying to push the sales of New Day ice cream that they've not invented yet, but that's just the next little bit of merchandise they want to stick a rocket and their face on. The Shining Stars convincingly hold Xavier down for like 3/4 of the match before Big E gets the hot tag and they finish him with the Midnight Hour. Both teams look good, it's a shame the Shining Stars don't get more exposure. No, that's SmackDown, I think you'll find we're watching Raw, thank you very much. Oh, and then they plug their own pay-per-view, that makes sense. Yep, you're not at war with each other, are you, competing for ratings? Fantastic. Bloody hell, Charles the Dwarf sounds more and more like Joan Rivers every week. I'm guessing her initial job interview she put a fake voice on, just to get the part, and now her natural voice is slipping out little by little. She's backstage interviewing Chris Jericho. Jericho says Sami Zayn isn't winning twice. Kevin Owens appears and says that he's got Jericho's back as long as Jericho's got his back against Goldberg at Fastlane. Where it seems WWE finally added the Rock and Roll Express into the Hall of Fame. That's put a smile on a lot of people's faces. Let's see what else we get this year. During the match between Chris Jericho and Sami Zayn for the US Championship, Kevin Owens accompanied Jericho. He also distracted Sami Zayn at every opportunity. Zayn put up a good fight, but as he escaped from the walls of Jericho, he ended up falling into the ropes. The referee was distracted and Kevin Owens hit him with a super kick, and this gave Jericho an opportunity to finish him off with a code breaker. Sasha Banks spends more time in the doctors than someone with Munchausen's. Charlotte then appears and rubs it in her face that she was main eventing not so long ago, and now she's doing fuck all. That's it, that's all she did, there's nothing else to report on this. And now we go from nails on a chalkboard to music to my ears, and specifically Austin Aries music, which I think it's the first time I've actually heard it on Raw. He's already in the ring when we come back from the break, and introduces the new Cruiserweight champion, Neville. Aries mentions that Rich Swann injured his ankle last week when quote-unquote attacking Neville, so there's no number one contender, so they decided to have a number one contender's fatal five-way match on 205 Live. Then all five lads one by one come down and introduce themselves to the match. We've got Cedric Alexander, Noam Dar, Jack Gallagher, Tony Nese, and TJ Perkins. But I'm still not going to watch 205 Live. For the second time now, we've been told that Emelina will appear next week, so let's see what happens. I don't really care. I hope nobody gets the hopes up, because you're probably going to be disappointed. Because of the scuffle just before the break, we've got a nice little six-man match between the Cruiserweights now. We've got Perkins, Alexander and Gallagher against Neville, Nese and Dar. As well as great action in the ring, the banter on commentary is quite good too. Aries and Graves all over Michael Cole, Austin Aries saying that Michael Cole's got a body like a bag of milk, and Mia Moore, Corey Graves saying to Cole that he could have a body like Nese, but he'd still have that face. With regards to the match, eventually Neville abandoned ship and left Noam Dar to get a Lombard check, allowing Alexander and his team to leave victorious. We go backstage once again to Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens in the locker room. Jericho's celebrating and says that they should celebrate further next week in Las Vegas and have a festival of friendship, since their friendship is second to none. No, that's SmackDown, this is Raw. I've said this before, I don't want to say it again. Fucking behave. And don't get me wrong, it's nice that Raw's taking the time 3/4 of the way through its show to promote something on SmackDown. It's normally just the other way around and it's filler for SmackDown, and they show Raw stuff. So it's nice that they've been mutual with this, but they're meant to be against each other. I've said this before, they're meant to be a ratings war. Just pick one and stick with it, you can't have your fucking cake and eat it in this instance. As we look forward to the next week in wrestling on 205 Live, we've got the Fatal 5-Way match that was mentioned a few segments ago. Next week we've got Bayley versus Charlotte for the championship, again. And also next week we've got the Festival of Friendship for Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. I was a little confused at the beginning of the match between Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns, because Roman Reigns came out first. They normally save their prized little puppy for last. But then it all made sense when Samoa Joe jumped Reigns upon entry. Corey and co do a pretty decent job of filling in any blanks that people may have with Samoa Joe. You know, just in case folk don't know who he is. And he really needed it, to be honest, because the match itself with Roman didn't really do a great deal for him. I mean, yeah, we got to see what he looks like, we got to hear his theme music, we got to see his moveset, but Braun Strowman ended up coming down and distracting Roman, which allowed Samoa Joe to finish Roman off. As the crowd chants "Thank you, Strowman," Strowman drags Reigns outside and beats him some more. I just don't get how the WWE aren't getting this. Not only are they still fucking booing Roman Reigns, but they're cheering for Berserker Braun now. He's meant to be the evilest of evil, and Roman's meant to be the goodest of the good. When will they learn and stop trying to force feed us shit we don't want to eat? And that's enough out of me for the time being. If you'd like to ask me questions or leave me abuse, I can be found on Twitter @BluntDamage. If you'd like to leave a comment with the video, you can follow the link in the description to the Botchamania site and do so there. And while you're on the Botchamania site, you can check out 10 quality years of Botchamania, obviously, the entire backlog of my Raw Rant all the way back to my written pieces, Vinny's midweek wrestling write-ups, and a shit ton more great stuff to keep you busy on the site. Also, if you like my theme music, the band are The Colour Fire, and they can be found at www.thecolourfire.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.